of GyrlSense. I'm Maria del Carmen, your host. Today's special guest is Aura Alvarado. Aura received her Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Management and a Master's Science in Business, both from Alberta's Magnus College. She is also a graduate of the Leadership Greater Hartford Quest program and the American Leadership Forum. Aura served 8 years as the president of the Connecticut Institute for Community Development Puerto Rican Parade. Today, she is the director of Communications and Community Relations for Capital Region Education Council, known as CREC, in Hartford. Aura, thank you so much for becoming part of the GyrlSense family.
Well, I'm honored to be part of the family. I'm so excited to be here.
You have had a very busy career, and what I find most fascinating is that the connection, when I started to connect the dots in my research, is that it all had to do with community involvement. Was that an accident? Was that your purpose? Did you learn early that that was your purpose in life? But prior to becoming or beginning your career, were you an avid volunteer in the community, or how did it all begin?
Well, I like to tell people that my career found me. I did not, it just happened. Things do just happen. But to answer your question, I've always been one of those people that like to help. I'm a problem solver. When people are having issues, I like to figure out how they can collaborate. So I started my career, it's funny, I started in the kitchen of Hartford Hospital. And because my mother dragged me to go to work because I didn't go to college the regular route.
Yeah.
So I quickly moved up the ladder and I ended up working in the Vice President's Office for Community Involvement. So I think at that moment is when, she would give me assignments and I just, I took them on. And from then on, it's been serving others with purpose ever since. And then the career found me. That same mentor got another opportunity and she asked me to go work for her. And she said, but you have to go to school. And I said, I already signed up actually.
Oh, good.
So from there, it just, it was just moving on up and networking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned that you got your first, you started in the kitchen of Hartford Hospital, which is a coincidence because that's where I started.
Really? Yes.
I started volunteering in 1983.
Well, I used to be, what do they call it, the candy striper that volunteers? Yeah, I was
Yes.
one of those too.
That's a funny story behind there, but I'll tell you after the show. So, mentorship is a very important part of the show. I always love to include it because it's really the basis for me for the show. So who would you consider, a little bit more of what you just teased on, who was your mentor then and why, and who's your mentor today? Because we all still kind of look up to someone.
Right. You have various mentors in your life and for different stages. Obviously, as Latina women, I think our mothers are our first mentors. They're very strong, they're passionate, they're scary at times. And my mother was definitely one of those. And she was always helping others. I remember being young, and I used to say, why are you taking my lotions and my perfumes to work with you? She was a nurse's aide.
Okay.
And she would take our stuff and to take it to the senior center.
Okay.
And to make sure that her los viejitos would smell good.
Yeah.
And so, my mother was always like that, and she still is. And then as I moved up at Hartford Hospital, there's mentors for different stages, like I said, but Marie Spivey was the Vice President of Community Involvement at that time.
Okay.
And so I was her assistant. And I would do the juvenile diabetes, I would do the American Heart Walk, and so she would leave me in charge. And then we used to have the Health Star band at the time,
Yes.
So I used to coordinate the volunteers, make sure they had their shirts.
Yes.
And I
I was one.
Yeah, yes, there's always a connection. But I thrived when I saw that the event came to an end and all the people we served, whether it was blood pressures or we did a walk or we collected money for juvenile diabetes. I don't know, I just left with a sense of purpose, or I didn't know it was purpose. I just felt good at that time. Now I know that it was a sense of purpose, and I needed it in my life. And then now at the stage that I'm at now, so I was at Hartford Hospital for 14 years, and then I took a leap of faith, you know, because we're used to, when we were growing up, I know, I don't know if it's the same for you, but my family used to say, stay in one place, you just move up. But you know, nowadays it's a little different. You gotta change.
Well, I think it's generational throughout. Pretty general. That's how things were. People stayed at places for 40 years.
So that was me. And so when I got this opportunity with Marie Spivey, she was the CEO of the Learning Quarter campus over there on Vernon Street. And it was so funny because I used to drive by that place all the time. Because I used to go to Hartford Hospital. I'm like, wow, that place looks so interesting. I would love to work there. And lo and behold, I think it's 6 months later after she left Hartford Hospital, she called me. She and Eddie Perez, I have to say, they're my first true mentors that I say, wow, they took a chance on me. They believed in me. And from then on, I never wanted to disappoint them. So I finished school. I started with my associates, my bachelor's, and I went to my master's. And from there, you know, other mentors took notice because they're my mentors now. And so I was tapped on the shoulder and went to CREC, and I've been there almost 13 years. So you see, maybe 14. But and I have mentors like Bruce Douglas, who he's like my dad, you know. My big brother, I would say, because I don't have any brothers. But and then Sandy Cruz Serrano, and I mean, there's so many people that if I start naming them, I'm gonna forget somebody. But everybody has a little piece of what I wanted to grow. So I had a mentor about going to school. I had a mentor about, you know, maybe doing my thesis when I went to, you know, so I had a mentor for that. Then I had a mentor on, you know, how to position yourself in the business world, and a mentor for, you know, networking, you know, because you know, we call those now sponsors. You have to have a mentor and a sponsor. So so many people. I have to tell you, you never get anywhere by yourself. You know,
Absolutely.
Right. Obviously, you have to have your purpose and your passion, and then because it's truly up to you. I mean, you have to take care of you and to give to others. Right. So yeah, I have mentors all along, and now I'm getting new ones in this different stage in my life. You know, I'm trying to be a community activist, a collaborator, and maybe a business entrepreneur at some point. You know.
Sure. And it's so exciting when we do meet. Or better yet, when we can actually identify a new mentor. Because we know what our current mentors and our past mentors, how much we have grown up to that point. So it gives us like the opening doors. Like we know like there's good things going to come out of here. So it's wonderful to always be in the know and seek those mentors. That's a match for you as well.
Absolutely. Everywhere I go, if it's a conference, a workshop, or just a meeting, I'm always looking around. I'm like, you know, if somebody strikes my interest and I'm like, wow, that sounded interesting. I'm going to see how they did that. Right. And so you can't be afraid. And I used to be afraid, trust me. When I first started in the scene, I was like, oh no, I shouldn't ask. They're too busy. Now I'm like, I'm like, can I talk to you for a few minutes? Can we have lunch? Can we have a cup of coffee? Because that's how you learn. You're constantly learning. Constantly learning.
That's it. And you know what? It's appreciated when one is asked. It's appreciated. And if that individual got to where they are by their mentors, that's how they pay it forward. Right? That's how we all pay it forward.
Absolutely.
And so through that journey, I'm pretty sure, I can almost count on it, that you have had some mentees under your wings as well. So how has that experience helped you? Because we both grow on both ends, right?
Right, absolutely. And you know, I'm going to put myself out there. You know, when you first start and you're worried about losing your position at wherever you are, you tend to have, you know, those jealousy or control issues start coming. And so I was like, wait a minute, no. I mean, I got here because people supported me. So I was, you know, it took me a while because you were protecting your area. Because, you know, especially being one of the, I provide for my family. So I'm like, no, if I make her better, they're not going to want me. Oh my God, that was so silly to think of that. But so I quickly turned that around. And when I saw the person that was asking me for help, grow, and there's a few people at Crack that I can think of at the top of my head.
Yes.
Actually 3 of them right now, who've gone up and are doing so well, and I look at them and I was like, wow, they're like my birds who left the nest.
Exactly.
And so I feel really good about that. And I want to continue doing more of that.
Yeah, because that's what we want, right? It's just like your adopted children. So you always want your kids to succeed you.
Correct.
So, do better than you. So it's the same. When you commit yourself to be someone's mentor, you take on those same, formations to move forward. So yeah, it is, I think that's great. Speaking of kids, you have 2 sons. So how does one teach, especially these days, the essence of community to our children? You mentioned that you learned from your mom and you saw it in action because your mom took your shampoo or, your belongings for someone else to smell good, and you didn't understand it at that time, but you learned to understand it. How can we illustrate that either by action and also by words? Like, how does one learn that or teach that to our children? Because it's so hard these days.
It is. And
they have so much to
absolutely, especially in this age, My boys, they're teenagers, 18 and 19 years old. So I'm a firm believer that people learn by what they see.
Yeah.
Kids are sponges. So, I call my boys my miracle babies, I was told that I wasn't going to be able to have children possibly, so my boys are my life.
Yeah.
I wish they would do a little bit more volunteering, but again, I remember how I was with my mom.
Right.
I'm like, why are you doing that? I don't have time. I want to sleep in. But, I'm hoping, and I know for a fact that my story will be their fuel.
Right.
And with that story, they will fill up their tank, and hopefully they'll take some lessons. There's moments where they say little things to me and I know they're listening.
Oh, yeah.
They're watching, and I see how they treat their friends and their family members. So, I'm good. I'm at a good place where, I'm watching them grow and follow their passion. So I know that what I've given them, hopefully they'll give more to the world or to whoever they decide, to be with or work for. So in that regard, I don't push them that much, but I always tell them why I'm doing what I did. And when they were younger, I used to feel guilty because I was working almost 7 days a week. I would work my regular job, and then I had my community events in the evening and weekend, especially with the parade.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was like another full-time job.
Right.
And so they were little, but thank God that they had their dad. But I always told them, I said, everything I'm doing, and I was going to school at nighttime. So I used to get home at midnight and then go to studying and then back again the next day. But I always told them, I said, everything I do is because I want to leave you with something better, right? And something that you could build from. Right. So I'm hoping, I'm looking forward to seeing that as they grow and they get married and have kids.
Of course. But I think you're correct, and I can definitely agree with you that they are listening. And the reason why I asked that question as well is because I know that they're listening and I know that they're watching. So many times when I do see parents not exactly modeling, events, vocabulary, just interactions. I always think about that, like, but your kids are watching, they're listening. They may not mimic you then, but eventually it will come out. Well, they'll have the choice, right? And it kind of makes it okay. So, and we never know, right? Because we may put all our best efforts forward, and it's always at the end of the day their choice. But there's a lower risk, I would say, if we do model, so they can follow that example. And what better way one feels more fulfilled than to serving the community one way or the other. Whatever fits the individual, whatever, sparks their plug,
Right.
For us it could be one thing and for somebody else it could be totally different. So I think it's important.
Very important. I think, modeling the way is something, and everybody's in a different situation.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you don't have both parents, or,
Right.
you're learning yourself. And
Right.
But if you figure it out, but, I always say, their dad and I, we've had our ups and downs, and
Sure.
I'm like, let's try not to argue in front of them.
Sure.
Let's keep our stuff, let's always give them positive reinforcements. And that was something that, my parents did that for me, so I think that's how, and for their dad as well. He
Sure.
was brought up that way too. So I think that's important just to follow it. We were not perfect by any means.
Who is?
Right, no one's perfect, right? But if we made a purposeful decision
Sure.
that regardless what situation we were in,
Mm-hmm.
that it would always be about them at the end of the day.
course.
I may not want to talk to you right now. I may not want to be in the same room with you.
Right.
But right now it's not about us.
In their best interest.
So I think if people did a little bit more of that kind of, it's not about us. It's about what do you want to teach them at that moment. I think, things would be a little better.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, everyone's in a different situation. So if you have to work
Right.
all day and you have to go to school all night, and those quality moments are being lost in between while you're doing a good thing, it's still a positive in the end because you have that conversation that I am doing this for you. So I think that will instill with the kids at some point. They then will mimic you.
Right.
So you have been involved in several community efforts, committees, boards, and so on and so on and so on, such as the Boys and Girls Club of Hartford, the Betty Knox Foundation, Rebuilding Together Hartford, Cultura Mosaica, and AARP, Connecticut. So briefly explain what are or were the benefits of each of those programs. And if they are still in existence today, well, I guess the Boys and Girls Club, that one I know,
Yes.
but what was the benefit? Who were the targeted population and audience?
Well, the Boys and Girls Club,
Yeah.
it's, they have 4 or 5 clubs in the Hartford area, so it's the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls of the city of Hartford have areas to go right after school. So I've been on the board for over 5 years now.
Okay.
And so the reason I joined, the reason you should join any board obviously is because you have a passion for their mission or their vision. Sometimes you are approached because they need, they're looking for more women, minorities to serve on the board. So I encourage anyone who's interested to really look and see where they fit. You have to fit. But I have to tell you, it's a lot of commitment. Depending on what board you're on, there's a lot of commitment because there's committees. They want you to fundraise. You also are expected to give. Board giving is a big thing because that's how people get grants if the board members give. So Boys and Girls Club I'm still active on. Rebuilding Together I was on for many, many years, left and then came back. And so Rebuilding Together is in Hartford. And it used to be called Christmas in April. I don't know if you remember those. We did them at Hartford Hospital as well. But Rebuilding Together is they pick a neighborhood or a house in Hartford and they rehab it in one day. So they've been focusing on neighborhoods.
Okay.
So the last Saturday in April,
Okay.
you pick a house. You say you want to volunteer and you say if you can paint, if you know how to drill, if you know how to hammer, or if you just want to do cleanup, which is mostly me. I do, and then you just get a house and you're there all day, and you're there with the homeowner, which is it's different than Habitat. Habitat, they build a house, within a few months, and then the homeowner moves in.
Okay.
This is the homeowner living there,
Okay.
and you're helping them. So most of the times it's an elderly family or a low-income family, and they couldn't, their deck is falling apart,
Right.
or they haven't had water in one of the bathrooms because the sink is falling apart. So we go in with this slew of volunteers and we each have tasks, we paint, whatever. So that's Rebuilding Together Hartford, and I love that one.
And I'm sorry, that goes on when? Currently?
The last Saturday of April
The last Saturday.
is when they have like 20 houses
Okay.
and you get put in a house and
Perfect.
right. So you can get all these are online.
Okay.
The Betty Knox Foundation. Betty Knox was a very strong woman in Hartford and for many, many years. It's, oh my God, like over 20, 30 years. Actually, we just celebrated her 50th years. So Betty Knox was a philanthropist and very supporter of Hartford and horticulture. So when she passed away, she left a trust fund. And half of the trust had to be for horticulture, and the other half was to help Hartford nonprofits kind of do projects. And then the Betty Knox Foundation got split into two organizations. So if you know the Knox Parks, so that's Betty Knox. It used to be. So Knox Parks does all the planting that you see in some of the intersections in Hartford. That's Knox Parks. So now they're just known as Knox Inc. And then the Betty Knox Foundation, which is the one I'm on, we give out mini grants to organizations, to nonprofits that are benefiting things in Hartford. So for example, I mean, we've given money to Winterfest, we've given money to Keeney Park Family Day, Lift Every Voice, I mean, Artist Collective. I mean, we've done so many. They're mini grants, but the mini grants is something. It's like a grassroots organization where at least $2,000 will help you, right? It's not like we're giving money to a large organization but the $2,000 that we give out goes far. Right.
But this is all as long as it's in Hartford.
Yes, right. So that's the Betty Knox Foundation, and then Cultura Mosaica is pretty brand new. Ana Valentin is the president, and she organized Cultura Mosaica to kind of bring all cultures together. So right now, what we're doing is they're doing bomba and plena classes on Saturdays, and they were doing like domino contests and things like that. So that one's up and running. So there's many opportunities to serve your community in various ways. You don't have to be all in. You could do a little one.
And just pick and choose and so forth. And it's always for a great cause.
Right. And then the Puerto Rican Parade was my biggest one. I served there for 8 years. I started just as a board member, and then I moved up in events, and then I became the chair and the president. And that was for the Puerto Rican Parade in Hartford that has gone through many changes in the last few years, but it was rewarding because I got to know my culture a little bit. I always heard people saying, those people who live here in Hartford, they don't know what it is to be Puerto Rican. And I'm like, well, I probably agree with them at the beginning. But to have organizations like CICD, Puerto Rican Parade, they're kind of keeping it up in the forefront is important. Obviously, the parade has changed from when it first started. The parade was created by Maria Sanchez, the godmother of the Puerto Ricans in Hartford, and she started it to be an advocate. That's where you would get political change through the parade and everything. I mean, she made sure we had ESL in the schools. She made sure we had interpreters at the courtroom. And then so she created this parade with Luis Ayala and Mildred Torres. I mean, so many people, right, that are no longer with us, but their legacies live on. So,
and I do remember, our family had business on Main Street, and so Maria Sanchez wasn't too far from us. And it was all about Maria Sanchez. So it was Maria Sanchez this and that, and our family would, volunteer for this or provide for that. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, it was, if not directly, but dotted line back to her, Barnard Brown, way long time ago, when they were up and running, I must have been maybe 11 or 12-ish, they used to give out gifts at the Barnard Brown School for Three Kings Day. And oh my gosh, Main Street would close. And the only reason why I benefited from it, because our family business was right across the street. It's not that I actually was living there, but I just remember like the presence and the stamp of being proud of your culture, celebrating Three Kings in the city here, not back in the island. So even if you were born and raised here, you still benefited all of the activities, all the culture, all the traditions, the significance and meaningful celebrations through, again, if not directly because of Maria Sanchez, but dotted line or her offsprings, through that. So, it was wonderful, long time ago. It was wonderful. But this is, I firmly believe that even today, we still have offsprings from that generation, from that era, and individuals that I have met through my journey, especially since I've begun the show or have heard of. But actually, we've known each other for a very long time as well, here or there. But I see it, you mentioned it earlier. This is what I volunteered or my mom made me do and so forth. But to keep that legend, I guess is my point. And this is where I'm going to lead into. It's a perfect segue into our next conversation. Because when we have a catastrophic event that just occurred to the island of Puerto Rico, sometimes these events that we create or that we sign up for to volunteer, sometimes they have to be created because of catastrophic events. And as we all know, most recently, it was Hurricane Maria. And through those, I know, and I hate to say it, I don't know that I've said it out loud as of yet, but it was almost a blessing and a curse at the same time, because it brought back, I think it resurrected the meaning of who we are, us in the state. I think so much have happened, that everyone were in their silos, and now everyone's pulling together. We need to do this for our island. So I'm going to pass the torch over to you, and I want you to lead us into and let us know exactly what's the relief program that you created.
Okay. So we opened el Centro de Ayuda para Nuestros Amigos Caribeños, which is the relief center for our Caribbean friends. So we opened on November 1st at Old School. It was the past Two Rivers High School that we closed down in June. So when this event happened, a few of us at CREC, some leaders, we were like, what do? We have to do something, right? We were collecting money, we were sending it to Puerto Rico, that kind of stuff. Our kids in our schools were collecting all kinds of stuff. But we knew that people were coming to Connecticut, to Hartford. And so we said, what are we going to do when we get here? And some of us, we were like, well, we have this building and it's empty and the lease is paid for till February. Why don't we just open it up and have a lot of services, almost like a one-stop at the center? So when they get here, they don't have to wait in line for 10 hours or be put on a waiting list right away. At least have a human face, some hand-holding, some compassion. So that's exactly what's been happening since November 1st. Since November 1st, we're already up to 450 families that we've already served. And everybody that comes through that center leaves with some case management, some services. We make sure that they have a coat, hats, gloves, some food, some toiletries, baby products that they needed. We have diapers, formula. And I can't tell you, Maria, I get emotional because the stories, everybody's story, even though they went through the same hurricane, the stories or their needs are so unique and different for every family, you can imagine. I mean, there's families getting here because they know somebody. But I have to tell you, there's a pretty good percentage of people that are just getting on a plane because they have one friend here, or this was the closest and direct flight from Puerto Rico. There are 2 flights arriving here, one on Mondays and Fridays, and it's about 150 people per flight. Now, not all 150 people are coming right to Hartford. Some of them are going to Boston, Springfield, or New York, but they're here and they're more coming, from what we were told. Now, we don't know how long we're keeping the center open, and we have it until February. If we need to open it past then, we will rally up the troops and figure it out, right? But for right now, the center is open Tuesdays and Wednesdays and on Saturdays. And we don't leave until we see everybody in that center. And there's on a Saturday, that past Saturday, we were not done till like 3 o'clock. Yeah, this past Wednesday, we were done at 7, right? And so they trickle in. But, you know, some people are coming just with what they have on their backs.
Right.
And it's really sad. And it's a humbling experience. And I say humbling because, not because of what we're giving them, it's because imagine yourself in that situation. I mean, we freak out with 3 days without power. When was it? Storm Sandy? We were out for a week and everybody was like, oh my God, we're going to die. These folks in Puerto Rico have been without power and
over
water.
53 days.
Exactly, almost 60 days. Imagine that. So why would we have them come here to our beautiful city, our capital city, and have them be, oh no, you got to go over here, you got to go over there. Well, they don't know where over here is. They don't have transportation. If they are with family members, their family members have to work. So what are we doing this to make this a little easier for them? And that's what the center is about. So it's a collective effort. Obviously, there's always somebody who has to lead it, and CREC, I'm very proud to say that CREC has chosen to be the lead. However, this is not just about us. I mean, it cannot be about one agency. There are too many people coming in. I mean, the numbers are they're mind-boggling. I mean, I think in Hartford alone, there's almost over 40 or 50 kids who registered to go to school, right? So that's 40 kids, times each a parent or a grandma or an aunt. It's happening in New Britain. Bristol just gave a report that they had 20 families register in Bristol. So this is a humanitarian effort that we're all involved in.
So if you're an organization, we're going to put all the information also up on my website as well. But if you're an organization that wants to help for an easier or quicker, faster, however it may play out in the end, to be part of this initiative, what number, either the organization and or if a family is here or coming here, what number should they call?
So if you're a family or you have a family member coming from Puerto Rico or the Caribbean, because this is for anyone in the Caribbean islands. We've had people from St. Croix, St. Thomas. They're all welcome. If they suffered Hurricane Irma and Maria, they are welcome to come. They come to the Relief Center at 15 Van Dyke. They can, if they want more information, they can go to 860-422-7095, or they can visit www.crec.org/relief center. All the information is there. So that's for the families who need services. As individuals, if you want to help, you can volunteer at the center. You can volunteer sorting clothes, filling the food pantry. That has to be a coordinated effort. So you have to go on the website, the same website I just said, and sign up. We have volunteer hours. If you're an agency who has some money, financial, donations, we will accept that too. You can do that online or by calling myself. You can call me directly. I'm happy to give my cell phone if you want. You can put it up on the screen. But if you work for an agency, like you work for BayPath, I mean, I'm sure in your area, you can do a donation drive. We need coats, we need hats, we need gloves, and we need food and toiletries. Underclothing. I had a lady, it just breaks my heart. She was crying, and we didn't know why she was crying, because she was looking at in the clothing area, and she couldn't find any underwear. Because that stuff, we don't have everything. And we're like, why are you crying? She goes, well, I only have one pair of underwear.
Of course.
Your heart just breaks. And so we have gift cards for situations like that where they can't find something. So I encourage agencies to give me some gift cards because, it's good that they can go buy their own stuff.
Of course.
So if you want to donate gift cards or money, I can guarantee you that whatever you give me, whether it's cash or gift cards, everything is going back out to the people who need. We do not keep a percentage. 100% in, 100% out. That's why I just love this initiative. And right now we have Capital Workforce Partners We have Catholic Charities, the Institute for Hispanic Family.
Okay.
We have the Chatter Oak Health Center
Mm-hmm.
with their mobile unit. All those agencies that I just mentioned are at the center with us. Some of them are there every day with us, every time we're open.
Yeah.
Some are only there a couple hours or one day a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they've signed on. They believe in what we're doing.
Aura, you have won many, many awards, and I know that I can look forward to your next award. I know you've won, 2004, 2014, 2015, but I can almost guarantee with your efforts in this specific relief program that you're heading, I'll be the first one to congratulate you with whatever may come forward, because this is so heartwarming and so rewarding personally and professionally.
Why, thank you. I mean, it definitely is a team effort. This is by no means just my effort. This is a group of individuals who, they just, they love our culture, they love our people, and in general, they love serving, and that's what CREC is about.
Viva
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Puerto Rico se levanta.
Se levanta. Puerto Rico se levanta, yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for shining light on this.
I'm Maria del Carmen, your host. This grassroots show is taking root. Visit GyrlSense.com for more information about our guest. Join us again for more GyrlSense.